Hello, good morning, everybody. This is Deuce Brandt for Professional Institute of Technology, coming to you today talking about the final project for the Dreamweaver course. The final project is a 5-page website built using Dreamweaver and Bootstrap 4. And so, what we're going to talk about today is some of the resources that are available to us to help us with this process. Now, you could completely do this website, the 5-page website, with everything you've learned from the 12 chapters in the classroom in a book. And you could even use that template that you created with the travel site to create your 5-page website. However, some of you are going to want to take it a step further and have more control. And I actually encourage you to take this as far as you possibly can to showcase your ability and to help you learn greater concepts to have a higher probability of achieving the Dreamweaver certification. So let's get started. First off, I want to introduce everybody to the Dreamweaver CC Responsive Design with Bootstrap 4 LinkedIn learning course by David Powers. I found that this course is incredibly helpful in that he goes into a lot of detail that the book just doesn't really tell us about Bootstrap and media queries. So I highly recommend that everybody goes and gets your Clark County Library card so you can access LinkedIn Learning absolutely free and that you review this course. It's about 2.5 hours. However, by the time you complete the course, you will have the blueprint for your 5-page website that is completely customized by you. Basically, he starts from nothing. So, from a new file to all of the things necessary for a pretty standard Bootstrap website, but then you can take it beyond what you learn and you can improve it. So I did want to just let everybody know you can easily come to LinkedIn Learning, and if you just type in Bootstrap 4, it's the only course that will come up for the CC Responsive Design, Dreamweaver, and Bootstrap 4. So I highly recommend it. I think this is a great course. I went through it to make sure, and so it is high quality. And I think that it will explain a lot of what we do with the CSS and the Bootstrap components in a way that is much clearer than the classroom in a book. So take a look at that. All right. So starting in Dreamweaver, what we're going to do is just like any other project that we're working on, we're going to first start at the top in the site, new site. We're going to name our site. I'm going to name mine Deuce Brandt's website. I'm going to click the folder and I'm going to select a new folder by right clicking and choosing new folder. On Apple, I believe there is a button for new folder, or you may just have to right click. I'm going to name this Deuce Brandt's website, enter, make sure that the folder is selected. I'm going to select the folder. Then I'm going to come down here to the advanced settings and choose the default images folder. Again, creating a new folder and naming this images, making sure it's selected and select folder. Now, if you have your own domain name, you could put it here. So I have a domain name. It's deucebrandt.com. So I will be adding it here. And then later, when the website is done, you can go into the server information and you could add the server if you have a hosting account. I'm not going to add that right now, but I'm going to click the save. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to create my site cache here. I've got my images folder. I've got my Deuce Brandt website folder. It tells me where everything is. A couple things that I always like to do when I set up a new site or I'm working within Dreamweaver, I want to make sure that the CSS designer is popped out until there are two panels here, two columns. This just makes it easier to see everything. If I did have one criticism of that LinkedIn Learning course by David Powell's, it would be that he only uses the one column, and it can be a little difficult when everything is smashed in. It's very, very tight. So I like to pull this out. And I also like to make sure that the properties is at the bottom. So if you do not see the properties, you go Window, Properties, and then click and drag until you see the blue line down here at the bottom. It is always very, very helpful. Okay, so to get started, what we're going to do is we're going to go into File, New. We're going to find a starter template, Bootstrap template. Now, as you can see, there are 6 Bootstrap templates that come with Dreamweaver. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create, grabbing the first one, and we're just going to take a look at some of the features that this first one has. It has a navigation bar at the top with several buttons, a spot for a logo, a search bar, and a search button. There is a header image or header card here in the top, and there is several cards down here at the bottom. Now, the benefit of this is to be able to look at this and to get ideas of what is available within Bootstrap. And anytime you see something, let's say you look at this and you go, hey, I really like this. Well, you could come in and you could pull up what are the CSS selectors that were used within Bootstrap to make this. And within the code view, you can deconstruct how it was put together. So even if you create this on your own, you now will have the ability to find something that you like and incorporate it into your own website. So what I recommend that everybody does is you go File, New. This first one is called Agency. So I'm just going to save this first one as agency underscore bootstrap underscore template, and it should automatically save it as an HTML right here in our file. So now we've got agency underscore BS underscore template.html. And I'd recommend that you do that with all of these. So then let's grab this one. Let's save this one as e-commerce underscore bootstrap template and save. Go to the next one, portfolio. Name this one portfolio underscore bootstrap template. File, New, product underscore bootstrap template. And then we've got real estate. Now, you could leave your file names all one word and then just block it all together. What I like to do is I like to use an underscore or a dash. This allows you to have some separation, but it still works with web development and servers. You do want to make sure that you always use lowercase letters and no symbols in your file names. And this one is called Resume Bootstrap Template and save. So the benefit of saving all of these is you could come in and you could take different parts of these. And you could update each one, save it. Then when you go to assemble your full website, you take all the different pieces and you can copy and paste it. So you don't necessarily have to use any one of these starting templates, but you could use pieces from them. So what I love about this is there's a lot of different elements. Like this, the idea of showing your skill set in kind of a graph. That's nice. These different badges and kind of how'd they do that? Well, if you're interested in creating something, you could simply come in, click it in the live view, grab your code, go to another web page, and boom. And then this will help you to kind of have all these different features. But the biggest challenge that you're going to have with putting together your 5-page website is figuring out what your content is. And so my recommendation on that is fairly simple. You're going to start with creating the first 5 pages. For me, the pages that I fell on were home, about me, contact me, portfolio, and services. Now, for you, these 5 pages might be different. You might want to describe it in a different way. I recommend that you make your pages, or at least your page titles, very, very simple. The names of your pages, they should be as short as possible because you're going to be able to change the way the website looks on different browser widths, from mobile phone to tablet to laptop to large screen. And so if your button names are too long, it can affect how it lays out. So simple buttons, simple names. Now, if you want to be clever, go ahead and be clever, but try to keep it to 1 to 3 words at the most. If your button requires more than 3 words, I think that you need to re-examine what the name of the button is. It doesn't mean that the actual page that it lands on can't have those multiple words, but I'm talking about in the menus. So the best way to get started is to look around the internet and to look at what other people have done, other websites that you like. Now, they don't have to necessarily be about portfolio websites. They could be just other people's inspiration. You could do Google searches, all types of ways of finding more inspiration. You can create a mood board by pulling things that you like, things that are like your style, things from your Adobe Express webpage, elements that you've picked up. It could even be like magazine articles or photos that you've taken. You basically want to take as much inspiration as you can, put it all together on a paper, and use this as a example as you're building out your site. Next, you have to think about your color theme. And one of the ways that you can do this is by going to the color.adobe.com website. And let me pull that up, color.adobe.com website. And one of the benefits of the color website is you can explore some themes that are already available. Like maybe you like this tropical theme and you want to see something more in that kind of range. Well, by going through here, you could come and you could go, oh, I really like this theme. Well, here's all of your hex values. You can add it to your library. You can copy them as CSS. You have a lot of availability here in the Adobe Express, or excuse me, the color.adobe.com website. And you can even look at, if I want something exciting, here are some bright and cheerful colors. Maybe I want something more serious. Maybe I'm looking for something royal. Oh, look at these purples. This is so here's a great way to find colors that really, really work together in a theme. Once you have your colors, the next step is, if you go to the new.express.adobe.com website, Adobe Express can allow you to really quickly create things that you need. So if you need elements for your web page and maybe you don't know how to create them, come into Adobe Express and just search for the thing. So maybe you want some kind of pumpkin image because maybe that kind of fits your style. Maybe it's something that you want to have an element in the page. Well, you could find a pumpkin image, create the size that you're looking for, 250 by 250 pixels, create new. This is going to create it within Adobe Express. I'm just going to resize that. We're going to then, we'll give it a name. We'll name this pumpkin image, download it, save it as a JPEG because we have a background. If you didn't have a background, PNG is a good choice if you have a transparent background. So I'm just going to download that. It's going to be saved to my downloads folder. And then you can take this pumpkin image and you can copy it directly into your website's images folder and paste. Here's that image. I'm going to switch the screen to the Dreamweaver screen. And if we look inside of our images folder, now we have the pumpkin image. So we could come in and we could change this from images140.gif to pumpkin image.png, and there it is. So that's a quick way to go about putting all this together. But honestly, the hardest part of website development is figuring out your content. So what I like to do is I like to get to a piece of paper or a whiteboard, and I like to figure out kind of what what would that overall image or what would the layout of the website look like? And for me, I love the idea of the homepage being possibly an image of myself, maybe a video, but then a paragraph of text. So possibly two columns. So I kind of see it as if we had two columns and one was 40% and one was 60% side by side. Well, the 40% would be my image or the video, and the 60% would be a paragraph. Now, the idea of the paragraph, start telling your story. Talk about, um, your background, where you grew up, what your passions are, what your career goals are, that type of information. But then, after about a paragraph, put a learn more, and that learn more button will take them to the About Me page. Now, in the About Me page, fully talk about your entire story. Some of us, we could add several paragraphs. And so in your About Me page, this is your opportunity to really talk about yourself, to show different images, possibly of you growing up, if you've got pictures of you as a kid, or pictures of you doing something that inspired you. So, for instance, if I always wanted to get into the music industry, maybe when you were 10, or maybe when I was 10, I went to a concert and it really like inspired me to want to do music or to be in that industry. Well, you could take that photo of when you were 10 and you could put it in the webpage explaining part of the story. Any little piece that you can add to give your website polish, this is what makes a website look professional. You want to avoid having just one giant column of text and, a couple images. What I like about Bootstrap is we can come in and using these different breakpoints at the top, you can select how the web page functions at different widths and different screen sizes. And the benefit of this is we have true flexibility and we can almost control what our end user views. But it is very important that everybody really thinks about what are you trying to get across. And I love for you to use this as an opportunity to help expand your career, expand your ability, and to show the world what makes you a great candidate. So with those 5 pages, as I talked about before, I would simply use them up here in the navigation. We'd have a home link, which is the index.html. Now, you generally want to you want to make your logo or your name in the top left, you want to make it a button and make sure that it goes to index.html. And then you can simply change this to your name. Then you can go into your home. This is index.html. Then if we've got several buttons, what I want to do first is come into the DOM. I want to remove that button. I want to remove that button. I want to take this link button and I'm going to duplicate it once, twice, three times, and once more for 4 buttons. Then what you can do is you can come in, about me, then contact me, portfolio, and services. It looks like I added one too many, so I'm just going to remove one of those list items. Then I'm going to come in, about me.html, name this one contact.html, name this one portfolio.html, and the last one as services.html. Then if we come in here and we save, now we have our basic navigation begun. Then as you create these pages, so if I save this as index.html and I name this one about me and I save it as, sorry, let me go back, save that, about me, file, save as, about, and I believe I used an underscore. I can check easily here. Oh, I used a dash. So very, very important that your file names match up to your code. I'm simply going to come in here because I made a mistake. I'm going to file, save as, name this about dash me. If for some reason you do not see your files here in the files panel, it's really easy. Oh, there they popped up. But if they didn't, you can right click and you can refresh the local files. I see that it's here. Now I have this extra one. I'm going to end up deleting it, but you can go to the edit menu here and you can delete, or you could go to your original files and you could delete it there. I'm going to delete it because I don't want confusion. My next page is contact me, file save as, contact.html, and then portfolio, save as, portfolio.html, and services.html. Now, if we go back to our index page and we choose the live preview in Google Chrome, we can come in and we can see that our navigation buttons work. This is a great way to kind of get started. So once I know my menus work, I can copy that block of code, and I'm just going to Alt Tab, come back to Dreamweaver. Once I know that this block of code works, I can come up here, and actually what I want to do here is I actually want to remove this because I do not have the functionality of a search bar. Now, you could add this, but this is something that you would have to research if you wanted to add a search bar. You could go to Google and you could type in functional search bar Bootstrap 4, and most likely you can find a tutorial of somebody creating a functional search button. You probably will have some JavaScript to do that. Whenever we do functions like that, JavaScript is usually the answer. Sometimes it's PHP, sometimes it's some other database. It could be an Apache file, but depending on what your overall goals are, you could easily look online and you can find an example of it. But if we come back here to the nav and we copy this nav and we come into a new document, Bootstrap, we're going to use an existing CSS for the Bootstrap. We're going to click create. What this is going to do is this is going to create us a blank Bootstrap document. We can easily come into the body and then we can paste in our header information. So this is how you would go about, okay, what are the elements that I need for my site? One of the things that you'll learn from that responsive Bootstrap Dreamweaver course in LinkedIn Learning is how to use the Bootstrap components insert menu. And if you look here, there's a ton of previously created components. And all you have to do is come in and say, you know what? I'm looking for a carousel. I want it after my navigation. And it automatically pops it in and it does the code for you. At this point, all you'd have to do is modify the code specifically for your reason. So, for instance, if this was my homepage, maybe this carousel, it's my top hits. These are the things that I'm most proud of. Maybe you put in YouTube videos. Maybe you put in different works that you've done in your portfolio. Maybe they're photos of yourself, but you could easily add them to a carousel. And then once you're done, you can come in. Maybe you're interested in having individual cards. And basically, all a card is, it's an image with some text underneath and a button. But the wonderful thing about this is everything is customizable once you create it. So once you know what you have, you can modify this to be exactly your needs. And so instead of making this dash MD4, if I make it MD6, it automatically becomes half the column. Then I could add another column, grab my card. I'm going to duplicate the column. And now I have two columns. And so these are some things that you're going to learn through that course. How am I going to lay this out? And the cool thing about Bootstrap is it remembers whatever point you are in the media queries. So if I come in here and I have the smaller screen, and let's say I add another card after, and if we look on this card, it'll say call MD4. Well, these letters inside specify which media query we are in. And so you have small, medium, large, extra large. You have these different options and it will remember and it will help you to develop this as you make it. Now, one of the other things that you can also do is with Dreamweaver, you could resize these cards directly inside the WYSIWYG editor. This is very, very helpful. So this will allow you to very quickly put something together. Once you've got your top navigation working, then at the bottom, your footer could simply be copyright, the year, and your name. Or you could do something fancy with your footer. Maybe you could have another set of navigation at the bottom. Maybe you could use an image. Maybe you could put some kind of animated GIF or video file at the bottom. Again, this is your website and you want to add to your style. So that's just a quick overview of the final project. The goal is to take everything that you've learned in this class and apply it and to create something that you would be happy to share and possibly get a domain name, get hosting, and put this up as your portfolio website.